With his tail wagging like a flag, Biscuit races across the sand, feeling the warm grains under his paws and sniffing every seashell he finds. He runs past the little girl building a sandcastle and he stops to watch her for a moment. He has an idea to build the biggest sandcastle ever. So Biscuit plops down beside her and licks her hand excitedly. She giggles and pats his head as she keeps building. And when she finishes, Biscuit takes a turn. He digs and pats and piles the sand high. But every time he tries to add a shell or a pebble, he sneezes. A big sneeze sends sand flying everywhere, and his castle starts to look less like a castle and more like a wobbly sand mountain. The girl laughs and throws her arms up in the air. She makes a wish that her dad could build a sandcastle like this. Soon, Biscuit's friend, a little bird with yellow feathers and a red cap, flies down to join them. She chirps hello and hops closer to the sandcastle. When she fluffs her feathers, a few fall out and float down onto the mountain. Biscuit sneezes again and buries the bird under a pile of sand. She peeps out with a start, and the girl helps dig her out. They both laugh and decide it's time for a new plan. Next, Biscuit sees a group of seagulls swooping above the beach, and he barks with delight. He loves chasing seagulls, and today they seem extra playful, dipping and diving just out of his reach. Biscuit weaves between them, zigzagging across the beach. He goes under a beach umbrella where a family is playing with a bucket and spade. "Go get Em, little dog," says a boy with a red bucket. Biscuit dashes past a woman sunbathing on a beach towel. She opens one eye to watch him go by. Then he tumbles over a bucket and sends a spray of water flying into the air. "Woof!" He barks with a surprised yelp. Suddenly, a crab scuttles across his paw, and he jumps back with a yip. It's only a baby crab, but Biscuit doesn't know that. He thinks it's a giant crab monster. So he takes off running. The seagulls squawk with laughter, and the family watching can't stop giggling either. As he runs, Biscuit spots his three best friends, a playful squirrel, a fluffy white rabbit, and a little bird. All three have come to the beach for the day. "Come play with me," barks Biscuit. And the three friends are never ones to say no to a game. They join him in chasing the seagulls. The little bird flies over Biscuit's head and calls, "Faster, slower." The squirrel darts over the sand like a furry flash. And the rabbit hops and bounces as they all weave in and out of beach towels, buckets and spades, and sunbathers. Just then, a man standing nearby raises his camera to take a picture of the playful pup. But when he clicks the shutter, Biscuit looks right at him and barks, "Woof." The man jumps with a yelp and drops his camera. Biscuit pauses to sniff it and then trots over to his friends. He wags his tail, proud of his great big zoomy victory. The friends continue playing until they come to a patch of sand where a bunch of pebbles and shells are gathered. The little bird lands on a rock and chirps, "This is perfect. We can use these to make the best fort ever." Biscuit looks around at his friends. "Ooh, yes," he barks. A fort just like in the adventure stories we hear at home. The squirrel twitches his bushy tail with excitement. "I'll find some long sticks to make the walls taller," he says. The rabbit, who's very good at digging, offers, "I can dig a tunnel to hide in." And Biscuit wags his tail. He knows just what to do. He gathers a big pile of sand and starts making the biggest, tallest, wiggliest sandcastle he can. It's going to be the coolest lookout tower ever. As he pats the sand, he sneezes, sending sand flying everywhere. His friends erupt in giggles. The rabbit uses his paws to pat the sand down, and the bird pecks the surface to smooth it out. Together, they work quickly, and soon the tower is tall enough for Biscuit to climb to the top. He yipped with glee. From this high up, he feels like a brave knight protecting his kingdom. Then a wonderful idea pops into his head. He slides down the side of the tower and barks, "Let's bury each other in sand." "Ooh, yes," says the bird. "That would be fun." The squirrel flicks his tail and hops closer. "But maybe not too much sand, huh?" he says with a grin. And the rabbit twitches his whiskers as he watched Biscuit disappear under the growing mound of sand. First, it was just a small pile. But then the squirrel started throwing sand over it, and soon the bird was covering him completely. "Stop, stop," he said with a muffled bark. But his friends kept piling on more and more sand until he couldn't see anything anymore. The only parts of Biscuit that peeked out were his big, sparkling eyes and his twitching nose. He wanted to get out, but he also thought it was kind of fun being buried. So he wiggled, 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 sending sand flying in all directions. His tail wagged frantically underneath the mound, sending tiny puffs of sand billowing out. The squirrel, bird, and rabbit took turns popping out and shaking themselves off, spraying sand everywhere. But poor Biscuit couldn't get out. "Help!" he barked. "I can't see." He wiggles, wiggles, wiggles some more, and finally, he bursts out of the sand like a furry sand rocket. He shakes himself off and sends another shower of sparks flying into the air. He takes a big, deep breath and wags his tail. He might have had a bit of an adventure, but it's time for a splash in the shallow waves now. Biscuit races toward the sea, where the water laps gently on the shore. He wades in and barks happily at his reflection. He splashes his paws and makes big, splashy puddles for his friends to jump over. The little bird lands on the water's edge and dips her beak in for a drink. The rabbit hops close to the water and swishes his whiskers. The squirrel chases a retreating crab and leaps over a wave before trotting back to his friends. After a while, Biscuit wades back to shore. He flops down next to his friends, who are taking a rest. He licks their faces and barks for them to keep playing, but they're tired now. The little bird snuggles against the warm sand, the rabbit closes his eyes, and the squirrel curls his tail around his paws. Biscuit watches them for a moment. He's a little tired, too. His paws are sandy and his fur is a little damp, but his heart is full. He smiles with pure puppy joy. He's had the silliest, sunniest, and most adventurous beach day ever. As the sun begins to set, Biscuit wags his tail. Soon it will be time to go home. The sky is filled with pink and orange streaks, and the sound of seagulls fills the air. With one last look at the ocean, Biscuit trots away from the beach with his 3 friends. They walk along the path, happy to have spent such a perfect day together. Every day is a chance for fun, discovery, and giggles with Biscuit around.